Here are today's top stories. The Bangsamoro Basic Law is renamed into the Bangsamoro Organic Law as a bicameral committee approves its final version. Malacanang says shifting to federalism will not have adverse effects on the economy. The LTFRB calls out ride-sharing firm Hype for its unauthorized 2 peso per minute travel charge. And the Constitutional Committee cites a need for the country to have its own version of the Constitution. Good day, I'm Pia Rosas Morato. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. The Bangsamoro Basic Law will now be referred to as a Bangsamoro Organic Law as a bicameral panel approves its final reconciled version. More on this from Janice Cave.
The Congressional Bicameral Conference Committee approved the final version of the proposed Bangsamoro Basic Law, which was renamed as the Organic Law for the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao. The bicameral panel was able to reconcile conflicting provisions of the landmark measure after 6 days of marathon hearings. The BBL is expected to be ratified by both chambers on Monday, July 23, during the opening of the third regular session and be signed into law by President Rodrigo Duterte on or before his third State of the Nation address. Senate Majority Leader Juan Miguel Zubiri noted that the reconciled version was approved just 1 year after the Bangsamoro Transition Commission submitted the draft BBL to President Duterte. House Majority Leader Rodolfo Fariñas said while it was noteworthy that previous administrations tried to attain peace in Mindanao through peace agreements, those plans never materialized. Fariñas, however, said the Duterte administration was able to reach this achievement in 1 year. Anak Mindanao Party List Representative Amihilda Sangcovan said the final form of the BBL will provide Moros something better than the status quo that is the autonomous region in Muslim Mindanao. Sangcovan hopes the BBL will be one of the most important instruments to attain just and lasting peace. The new law seeks to create a new Bangsamoro political entity that would replace the ARMM. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Janice Cave.
Tropical storm Inday continues to enhance the southwest monsoon affecting the country, bringing light to heavy rains in most of Luzon. Pag-asa said Inday is almost stationary and was last observed east of Basco, Batanes. Moderate to occasional heavy monsoon rains is expected over the regions of Ilocos and Cordillera and the provinces of Bataan, Zambales, Batanes, and the Babuyan group of islands. Metro Manila and the rest of Luzon will have scattered light to moderate to, at times, heavy rains caused by the southwest monsoon. Meanwhile, classes were suspended early morning in parts of Cordillera, Ilocos region, Central Luzon, and Calabarzon in anticipation of inclement weather. Inday is expected to remain in the country until Saturday. Malacanang clarifies that the shift to federalism will have no effect on the Philippine economy. Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque explains that the national budget would remain the same as identified national projects would be devolved and transferred to local government units. Roque says the national government would still implement the build infrastructure projects under the proposed federal system of government. At least 79 flagship infrastructure projects worth 8 trillion pesos have been lined up under the Build program from January 2017 to 2022. Roque made this remark after NEDA Secretary Ernesto Pernia warned that federalism could drain government finances and disrupt the infrastructure program. President Rodrigo Duterte earlier approved the draft federal constitution but ordered changes in provisions for transition. The proposed charter now includes provisions to facilitate the election of a transitory president and vice president. Duterte is expected to endorse a draft to Congress during his third State of the Nation address. Senators have opposed proposals to postpone the May 2019 elections through a people's initiative. House Speaker Pantaleon Alvarez has insisted on postponing the midterm polls so that Congress can continue working to finalize a draft of the proposed federal constitution. He suggests that citizens who support federalism can start a people's initiative. Senate Majority Leader Juan Miguel Zubiri, however, says a proposal to defer the elections is a tedious process which might fail given the public's low approval rating on charter change. Senator Panfilo Lacson noted that majority of these senators will fight tooth and nail any attempt to cancel the 2019 midterm elections. For Senator Francis Escudero, the initiative would run out of time to effect the desired outcome. Senate President Pro Tempore Ralph Recto and Senator Francis Pangilinan meanwhile branded Alvarez's move to be his own initiative to extend the terms of the political elite. Militant groups have vowed to make the protests peaceful and orderly during President Rodrigo Duterte's State of the Nation address on July 23. In a dialogue between the Quezon City Police District and community leaders, the parties agreed not to force their way through the Batasan complex. Cause-oriented groups will instead hold their programs in a specified area along Commonwealth Avenue. Bagong Alyansang Makabayan Secretary General Renato Reyes says they will install a fixed stage in front of St. Peter Church. Reyes appealed to NCRPO Director Guillermo Eleazar to use plastic barriers instead of container vans and barbed wires as roadblocks. On the day of the SONA, militant groups will begin their protests with a unity march from UP Diliman to 2 in the afternoon, followed by the programs at Commonwealth at 3 p.m., after which they will disperse at 6 in the evening. Still to come, the LTFRB calls out ride-sharing firm Hype for its unauthorized 2 peso per minute travel charge. The Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas vows to continue stabilizing prices as Fitch affirms its high investment grade rating on the country. These and more when the PNA Newsroom continues.
Today's launch of the Philippine Plan of Action to End Violence Against Children, or PPA EVA, is a milestone for the government and its partners in the continuing work to address the violence, abuse, and exploitation committed on our own children. As Chair of the Committee on Appropriations, I shall commit to proactively advocate to my colleagues in Congress to allow for strategic resource allocation and mobilization to implement the PPA vision. We are all responsible, you and I. Protecting our children is our individual responsibility. God bless our children. Thanks.
The Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board is calling the attention of new ride-sharing firm Hype Transport Systems for imposing a 2 peso per minute travel charge. The board said that Hype should explain why its certificate of accreditation as a transportation network company should not be revoked or suspended. The board says Hype should be charging a base fare of 40 pesos and an additional charge of 14 pesos per kilometer with no per minute rate. The ride-hailing firm is being asked to appear at the hearing on July 24. The LTFRB approved the accreditation of Hype as a new TNC last April, allowing the company to operate for 2 years following the shutdown of the operations of Uber in the country. Grab Philippines was previously called out for implementing a similar travel charge without authorization. Small and medium enterprises are now benefiting from the train law through tax breaks as a result of paying higher value-added tax. Miguel Hill has this story.
Small and medium enterprises received tax breaks amounting to billions of pesos for the first 6 months of 2018 alone under the Tax Reform for Acceleration and Inclusion Act, the Department of Finance revealed. From January to June this year, VAT collections mostly in the BIR's regional offices fell, but collections from the percentage taxing income tax increased. This indicates that many SMEs have now benefited from raising the VAT threshold from 1.9 million pesos to 3 million pesos under train. Finance Secretary Carlos Dominguez said increases in percentage in income tax collections in 2017 indicate that SMEs and self-employed individuals are now opting to pay either the 8% income tax or the percentage tax and the graduated income tax rates under train. For the entire country, income tax collections rose to 500.58 billion pesos for the January to June period, higher than the BIR goal of 450.37 billion pesos and the 2017 collection of 489.45 billion. Total tax collections for January to June was 179.95 billion pesos, short of the BIR's goal of 222.41 billion, but slightly higher than 2017's 178 billion pesos. January to June 2018 total collections from the percentage tax rose to 44.15 billion pesos, higher than the BIR goal of 43.74 billion and the 2017 collection of 38.24 billion for the same period. For the PNA Newsroom, I am Miguel Hill.
The Bangko Sentral Monetary Board will continue its price stability mission to help boost the domestic economy. BSP Governor Nestor Espinilla Jr. gave the assurance after Fitch Ratings affirmed its investment-grade rating of BBB with a stable outlook on the Philippines on Tuesday. The ratings agency remains optimistic about the economy due to low debt levels, the country's net external creditor position, and the continued improvement of fiscal and monetary policies. Fitch forecasts GDP growth to remain strong after 6.8% output in the first quarter of 2018. It cited the risk of overheating given the sustained rise of inflation, continued strong growth of credit, and increase in trade deficit. Although these may dampen domestic growth, Fitch said policy tightening by the BSP may contain these risks. Fitch also noted the government's reforms with the success of the passage of the first package of the train law. Espinilla said monetary officials will continue to ensure price stability since this has allowed the country to remain resilient as one of the fastest growing economies in the region. The Department of Health and the Japan International Cooperation Agency spearheaded the groundbreaking for a 5-hectare rehabilitation facility in Trece Martires, Cavite. The rehabilitation facility is part of the program for consolidated rehabilitation of illegal drug users or CARE project funded by the government of Japan. The facility is in line with the signed 1.85 billion yen grant agreement between JICA and the Philippine government for the CARE project. The DOH has licensed 44 rehabilitation facilities around the country to help in the needed medical and health interventions of illegal drug users. The JICA-supported project is expected to boost the government's anti-illegal drug campaign by establishing rehabilitation facilities in the country. The Cavite facility is expected to be operational by 2020. The Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board in Northern Mindanao warns public utility jeepney drivers and operators not to jack up their rates. LTFRB 10 Director Aminoden Guro says the board has received complaints that jeepney drivers, especially those plying the Bugo-Cogon route, have increased their fares by 3 to 5 pesos. Aminoden learned that Bugo-Cogon jeeps are now asking 25 pesos per passenger, which marks a 5 peso increase. He said the LTFRB has not implemented any fare adjustment in Northern Mindanao as the 1 peso provisional increase has been implemented only in Metro Manila, Central Luzon, Mimaropa, and Calabarzon. Those who are proven to be collecting more than what the LTFRB 10 has imposed will be penalized. Guro said drivers must also display the fare matrix issued by the LTFRB for the guidance of passengers. Transport groups that have petitioned for an increase in fares in the region have yet to justify their demand. Up next, the Constitutional Committee cites a need for the country to have its own version of the Constitution. Senator Manny Pacquiao reiterates his challenge to Floyd Mayweather Jr. for a rematch. The PNA Newsroom returns after these reminders. The Consultative Committee says the country should now have its own version of the Constitution. Constitutional Consultative Committee member Antonio Arellano says the country's previous constitutions were patterned after the Charter of the United States. Arellano says that under the approved draft federal charter, the Philippines would be referred to as a federal republic, which will comprise 18 federated regions. Each federated region will have its own leaders and policies, while the president and vice president would be elected through block voting. Meanwhile, each region would have 2 senators and they would only need to campaign in their respective areas instead of the entire country. Boxing champ Manny Pacquiao has reiterated his desire for a rematch with undefeated American prize fighter Floyd Mayweather Jr. He initially called out Mayweather to do a second bout with him after arriving from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia late Monday afternoon. The now retired Mayweather defeated Pambansang Kamao via unanimous decision in their controversial face-off in 2015. Pacquiao said he wants to do 2 to 3 more fights before finally hanging up his gloves to focus on his political career. He also acknowledged that age will finally slow him down, but added that his passion for boxing has not wavered. The fighting senator wrenched the World Boxing Association regular welterweight title from Argentinian Lucas Matisse in an epic 7th round knockout last Sunday. Guangzhou blasted Blackwater 88-69 in their Asia League Summer Super 8 tie at the Macau East Asia Games Dome on Wednesday night. Guangzhou was enjoying an early lead when Blackwater slowly crawled back on the way to the 4th quarter. The elite, however, failed to convert on their lay-ins, and the Long Lions went on a 13-0 run to blow the game wide open. Zhu Bingxin led Guangzhou with 21 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 steals, and 1 block off the bench. Mike Di Gregorio made 13 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, and 1 steal for Blackwater, while Poi Eram was held to just 6 points and 5 rebounds due to foul trouble. Information is now within reach for people in Ilocos Norte even without an internet connection, as the DOST turns over on-site research kiosks to the provincial library and selected schools. More on this story from Maricor Zapata.
The Department of Science and Technology has been reaching out to more learners in Ilocos Norte, giving them better access to various information even without internet connection. DOST Provincial Director Joven Viernes said 1 unit of science and technology academic and research-based openly operated kiosk station, or simply Starbooks, was turned over to the provincial library at the Ilocos Norte Centennial Arena on Monday. Prior to this, some 11 units were also distributed to selected schools in the province, particularly in Batac City and the towns of Badoc, Bana, Curimao, Dingras, Marcos, Nueva Era, Paway, Pinili, San Nicolas, and Solsona. As the first Philippine Science Digital Library of the DOST, the kiosk is available for use all day at the provincial library, even offline or without internet connection. The kiosk contains thousands of digitized scientific information sourced from local and foreign linkages, subscription, archive collections, and in-house publications contained at the DOST Science Information Network. The Starbucks kiosk also features science and technology information on food and nutrition, health and medicine, emerging technologies, energy, environment, appropriate livelihood technologies, investigative projects, and theses in different fields in the country. The digitized materials are accessible in various formats, such as text, video, and audio. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Maricor Zapata.
Let's now check out the weather forecast for Metro Manila and the rest of the country. Let's take another look at today's top stories. The Bangsamoro Basic Law is renamed into the Bangsamoro Organic Law as a bicameral committee approves its final version. Malacanang says shifting to federalism will not have adverse effects on the economy. The LTFRB calls out ride-sharing firm Hype for its unauthorized 2 peso per minute travel charge. And the Constitutional Committee cites a need for the country to have its own version of the Constitution. Thank you for watching another edition of the PNA Newsroom. To check out these and other stories, visit the PNA website or follow the Philippine News Agency on Facebook and Twitter. For more stories about the government and how it serves the Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. And that's your daily dose of the latest news and information that you need to know from the PNA Newsroom. I'm Pia Rosas Morato. Good day.